Well, yeah, in fact, you've just described half the chart. I don't know if people can see what's the chart I've got up here. Can you see, if you look at the purple line, that's the current price action for the last 100 days going. This is, that's the price action for the last 100 days, the purple line. And what we also have is what historically over the last, it's going to be about 25 elections, what's happened under a Labour government, resulting Labour government, it's the red line. The white is the average, and the difference here, the really interesting difference, I think, is between the light blue, which is a Conservative win, which is not a majority win, and the dark blue, which is a Conservative majority win. Now, I don't know about you, but that's something I do, this is something we do all the time, but there's a very strong correlation between the purple line, Conservative majority. And what typically happens, you can see what happens here, is when there's a prospect of a Labour victory, as soon as the election's announced, the pound goes down because people are worried about a Labour government, and then as it eventually recovers with a Labour government. But with a potential Conservative majority, the first thing that happens when the election is announced, this is going back over, like 30 data sets, that the pound rallies with the prospect of greater stability, Tory government. And then towards the election, about 25 days before the election, it starts to go sideways. And lo and behold, look, I mean, this is amazing. It is tracking the Conservative majority average. And the interesting thing about this is actually saying that on the election, that we've done everything now, on the election where if, and this is saying that it would be, I don't know if it's going to be a Conservative majority, the pound rallies. It breaks to new highs. You have a euphoria, you have a sense of relief, and then whack, back down it goes within 24 hours to 5 days. And that decline is actually the buying opportunity on dollar sterling. Right. And this is the correlation between the Conservative majority and the price action over the last 100 days is quite stunning, quite frankly. And if you are, I don't know, I won't, want to hog the show or anything. If I just take you through very quickly, you can see something similar on FTSE, that it now stabilizes, consolidates into the election, and then as a result, it rallies, which is immediately counterintuitive given the last, what we've seen in the last, since Brexit itself, that sterling rallies on the euphoria of the election and then fades. FTSE rallies as well, which means basically FTSE in dollars. Hello. But in fact although it's not like the cable, it's like a 24-hour spike. This, in fact, goes on for 2 weeks and then sells off. There's other charts, but I won't want to hog the show. So I think history is telling us something quite interesting about, not necessarily about the politics and actually what happens, but what is the markets are doing, what they're anticipating now and what they're trading now. It's exactly what they've done time and time again, particularly under a Conservative majority. So why would it be any different? And what is really interesting, if you go into the election itself, I'm talking about some of these movements of poll. If you look at what happened in Brexit, how the market reacted immediately to the first poll that came out in Sunderland. But if you look, that's because obviously there's a simple plus 50%, for Brexit. But if you look at two things, one is if you look at what, and this is one thing we'll be doing into the election night itself, is if you look at the distribution of votes of the first person who's called, or particularly the Tory vote, you'll see the percentage shift. So you don't need to wait to see the returning officer say, well, therefore it's a Labour victory, and for the pundits to tell you what the swing is. You can work it out yourself and know the likely reaction of cable to the result. In fact, one thing I will say about Brexit, and then I'll shut up for a bit, was what was amazing about Brexit is the market waited to the returning officer said, therefore Brexit wins this seat. Whereas in fact, you could have worked it out as soon as he said 3%, you could have gone yours on cable, you would have hit a bid, and then by the time he finished, it was 3 cents lower. I'm just flabbergasted how that would ever happen. But if it happens again this election, we'll be there. Anyway, I'll shut up now.